how did you even stumble upon this wacky world of land investing? Then we're going to dive deep into your story.
Sure, man. Yeah. So, after school, took some odd jobs, bounced around, kind of moved around the country. Then kind of did the normal thing in the corporate world. I was in wealth management. And then, like you mentioned, transition, went to New York, worked in real estate. And I did like the autonomy that real estate brought and the tangible side of just like the asset class. But I was like, finding people apartments wasn't going to be my career. And I thought, I knew people were land agents. And I thought, why not be a land agent? I love that asset class as well. But then I kind of stumbled into, there's a land investing world. And once I found that, I got pretty obsessed pretty quick. And I totally resonate with people having one foot in, one foot out in regards to like the skepticism. I think that's why I went all in very quickly. I was like, let's see if this just works, And I'm a pretty obsessive person. So I just went all in. And it's funny, I actually sold one of those first mailers this morning, sold one of those listings, which is pretty
no way.
It's going to make me $5,000-$6,000, but it's more so just as we talked about, just like proof of concept. Yeah. So if anybody feels, hesitant or skeptical, one, I totally understand that. I was the same way, but the only way to find out is to send mail out. So, the first month I sent mail was November, and then I sent 10,000 pieces of mail. If you don't get a deal after 10,000 pieces of mail, you're probably doing something wrong. But and like you said, it's not to make you rich, right? You're still in business. So that's what I would recommend. So I sold a deal up in North Georgia. And it was funny because now looking back, it's like, that was actually a really great deal. And it was like a fire sale. Just because I just wanted to make the money, I think it was a 4-acre property. I think the lowest the property was, the lowest 4-acre, 5-acre property in that whole area was like $46,000. I was like, I'm gonna undercut the market. And I bought this thing for around like $14,000. Wow. I listed it for like 37. Went under, it was $20,000 in a day, which was pretty because it went 24 hours, which was nice.
So where I'm at in my business today is really just taking a step back, going through the education again, and coming out swinging after the first of the year. When I first started the business, maybe I should back up a little further than that. And I sold swimming pools. So we designed them, backyards, cabanas, kitchens, all that. I was able to make commissions of like $10,000 to $12,000, like clockwork. Got it to where it was pretty efficient. Could do that in about a 10 to 20 hour work week. It was probably the best job in the world. So coming into land, it was like, okay, well, I want to do deals that are bigger than that. So as we started coming through the pipeline, I had my blinders on for the bigger deals, right? So I kind of let the leads go to the wayside, didn't really work them as good as I could. So that's where after a few months, I would say 9 months in, about 8-9 months in, joined Leah. So ready to surrender that Leah.
Just a year and a half in?
Yeah, about a year and 4 months.
And you've done everything under the sun, neutral letters, AI texting, RVMs, anything else?
I didn't stick to anything long enough, let's just say that.
And now you're moving over into blind offers, direct mail, simple stuff, start simple, grow from there. You even had an acquisition manager at one point, you let them go. So you kind of tried everything under the rainbow. You're working on a massive deal that you're selling off, is that right?
Yeah, so actually my first deal, it was my second mailer. I started my business in September, sent my first mailer right around then. It bombed, went to Europe. Poorly planned. And then the second mailer is where I got that big deal. You want me to?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah. Actually, I don't even know that much about it.
Yeah, so it was in Troy, Texas. So it's kind of like a backyard deal. That's how I closed it. I told the people, I had 4 sailors. One was all in, and I thought I was going to get it at 8,250 an acre, 47 acres. 2 nephews and a sister. They each owned a third, but the 2 nephews shared a third. So the last aunt got involved. She was like a stoner boner. She forget everything we talked about, just batshit crazy. No better way to put that. We ended up settling at 10,000 an acre. The goal was to just cut it up into 10-acre lots, make it quick and easy. But we couldn't do that to take the deal down. So we settled at 10,000 an acre. So cut it up into 4 2-acre lots, a 3-acre lot, and then we were going to do 3 11s, but we ended up doing 4-acre lots, 6 acres, and then the 11.
Okay.
So what that allowed us to do was buy that property for $467,000, put about $40,000 into it, and then that value add, we were looking at about a 1.2 exit price.
Wow.
Projecting probably, I would say worst case $1 million, but we're sitting at around 1.1 right now.
Wow.
So that was the very first deal with our contract.
So you joined Leah 9 months ago. You're going all in, started next year. What are the biggest changes from what you were doing then to like what you're working on now?
That's going to be the blind offers, and not being like much of a numbers guy. I was very much the messy action, just guns a-blazing. And so, yeah, having the more numbers-based approach, I would say scrubbing.
Mm-hmm.
So when I did the AI texting, I scrubbed all those records, scrubbed out anything and everything that you would scrub for, landlocked wetlands, floodplains, backyards, different things like that. That was super helpful. If somebody had a structure on it, obviously you want to scrub all that out.
Yeah.
And there was just so much in the neutral game before where it was just, you would get so many of those leads and then you'd be on the phone with them and you'd look it up and you're like, shit, we've been on the phone for 15 or 20 minutes. I wouldn't buy this.
Yeah.
So that's
It's a big difference. What would you say to people that are watching this now? They were in their spot a year ago, just getting started, thinking about getting started.
Yeah, have the courage to lean in. Like I said earlier, if you're too skeptical or whatever, go to an event, meet people, change your rooms. If you're not feeling inspired, get around people that inspire you. Yeah, find a mentor, find a coach. Education is so important. Maybe you can figure it out on your own. Maybe you're, really smart and really good and you'll just pick it right up. But I think that education and a mentor is everything. In any industry, you need a good mentor, you need a good coach.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's something that you feel compelled to do and lean into, reach out to somebody, reach out to Sumner, reach out to me. You can find people on Instagram, Facebook, wherever, and pick their brain.
Yeah.
And it's not a scam. It's a great business and you can live a great life.
What's up, man? Who are you? Where are you from, and how long you been in the land business for?
So, all right, from Northern California, a little town called Grass Valley or in Auburn. Most people have never heard of it unless you pass it on your way to Tahoe. So, tiny little town. It's a nice area. I love it though. But yeah, I've been in the land business now for just over a year. Pretty much sent my first mail March of last year, and steady, just sending out the mail each month for that entire year. And obviously we're going to be going into some of the results here in a little bit as well and talking about some of the deals that happened and a number of things. So yeah, it's been
I think you're a cool testament to someone that's just been methodical. I feel like if I could sum you up as a land investor, you've been incredibly methodical. There's been no waste or slack in your system. I think it's cool to see like the effects of that. To give people context though, you weren't a real estate investor before, right? It's not like you were flipping houses and started flipping land. And you do this part-time, and nights and weekends, I think you bartend as well, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Still doing that.
Sorry, go ahead, Anthony.
I was about to say, yeah, about 4 days a week I'm bartending, and then it fits very nicely with this because especially if we're mailing to the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast, so most of the calls I get are during the morning. By the time everybody's asleep, I'm doing my other job. So it's like it balances out great.
I feel like when people hear this interview and once we start kind of diving into like the results and the nitty gritty, people are gonna be like, dude, why are you still working that job? So why are you still working that job? Is that for the social aspect?
That's part of it too. And then on top of that, so there's a number of reasons. One, this business is lumpy. The money that comes in, it's very lumpy. I don't need the money from it. But more importantly, when it comes to like buying a home, getting lending, I do not want to risk losing my 2 years of history with pay, like basically the money coming in from my consistent job. And at the risk of, even though I'm honestly getting close to the point where I can just buy something all cash, but I don't want to. You and I both know I want to leverage someone else's money if possible, but lending on homes is they're just so strict. Like even in the position that I am, it's so difficult, and I do not want to risk any potential way that might be affected. And I've had some of my coworkers, they hear like what's going on. They're like, why are you here? like, what are you doing here? And it's just one, I like consistent money, and I do like the social aspect of my job. Even if I got to the point where this is really dumping money and I do not need it whatsoever for like consistent income, I still would probably just like pick up a day or two here and there, just because like I've worked alone before, and it eventually gets really disappointing.
If you were to give one piece of sage Anthony wisdom to a new land investor, let's say they're watching this right now, what's your one piece of advice?
If you're starting on a budget, prioritize not spending. Get what you need. Start with what you need. A lot of other things can come later on. Get your first deal through the door. Simple as that. It will fuel itself. If you're starting, if you're starting on a budget, but I feel like it's better to start on a budget and start with a limited quantity, because you'll make it more efficient. You'll learn how to make it more efficient. Often there's plenty of problems that come from people starting with too much money and they burn too quickly. And more problems can come from that than the other way around, actually. So a limited quantity and a limited budget will be almost in your best interest to make sure you approach it from a perspective of efficiency. And if you're just starting out, you're going to have every doubt that could possibly flow through your head. Give yourself 1 year. Do not look back. And just head down to nose to the grindstone, regardless of what the results are looking like in any small window of time. And don't look back. And after a year, I would maybe reassess my situation. But until then, you're gonna doubt. It's gonna happen. So that's like when you're saying people are freaking out after the first 60 days, and I was like, oh, I know that feeling. I know that feeling where it's like, here we are, and we're in the thick of it. You're watching money exit your bank account. Nothing's come back in yet. But it's the startup phase. Get comfortable. You're going to be here for a little bit.
Just recently got involved with this after, I'd say, 6 or 7 months of long debate and internal battle of whether I believed this or not, honestly, that this stuff is possible. And it just seems too good to be true off the, at the face of it. So, but yeah, my brother, you went and ran that marathon with him. You've done them for a while now. And he was the one telling me about all this. And when I first heard it, just like, there's no way. There's just no way. There's no way you're just coming in here, swooping up a property for 65 grand and flipping it for 120. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And sure enough, that's exactly what we're doing. It was just seemed way too wild. But then my brother kept kind of pounding it in my head. Just like, hey, just check it out. So I kept looking, started watching the videos, kind of getting an idea, and started checking more YouTube videos, the Instagram videos, and just trying to get an idea of it. Andrew, he's always been a pretty good inspiration for my brother as well, a personal trainer, and he likes your kind of drive when it comes to business. So it's been, I think, a nice influence on him as well. But yeah, he was the one who told me about it too, and I started looking into it more, and then started really understanding like the basics of it. And it makes more sense that this can happen with land, just because, like you said, people there, especially if they don't live on the land, they're not attached to it in the same fashion that they would be if you're asking them, hey, can I buy your house for half the price of what it's worth? It's not going to work. That just does not. It's a far more efficient market because, like you said, there's more data available. Plus, there's more attachment involved too. So once I started looking into it, it's like, wow, this is a very real thing here. And score some nice properties that people just don't care about and just want to let go of and put it on the market. So, and then also there's just so many other ways to close on a property, double close, plus finance. I didn't even think about that. How many other ways you can go about doing this and actually, make it a profit from this. So I've always wanted to get involved with the real estate industry in some way, shape, or form. And this wasn't necessarily how I expected it, but I like it.
So you joined us end of January. You've had a pretty wild run up since then. You really just kind of glommed onto this business. 2 first deals are slam dunk deals, right? First one, all in after title around 68. You guys got it listed at 155. And then putting a second one together right now. It's what's that one? Buy for 65, sell for 120.
I think I honestly, looking more and more at it, like 120 seems like worst case scenario. I think like 130 actually seems like what you had originally said. 130 seems very realistic. Just the only one that I'm unsure about because there's not much data to go off of is that 7-acre portion, that 7-acre parcel out of the bunch. Yeah, that one 7-acre parcel out of the 7 of 5. This is the second parcel. I mean, the second deal up in like west of Spokane, Washington, and that one is 7, a 5, and a 1 acre. The 7-acre has water, septic, and electricity installed already. There's not much data to go off of what first an empty 7-acre without any improvements on it would go for, let alone one with basically turnkey ready to drop a house on it. So that one is the one I'm a little bit unsure of, but I couldn't see it going for less than 65 or 70. So realistically, based off what I'm seeing, chances of it going for higher than that, pretty realistic. So, but we always like to underwrite conservatively. So I'll stick with the 130 mark.
Let's talk about
Yep.
kind of the vision for this business, right? You're 3.5 months in or so right now, 2 deals, you're bartending currently. What are we looking to do in 2023? And is this a goal of yours to go full time this year?
I would say within the year, I don't know if I want to go full time. My goal is to ramp this up. My whole goal this year was to make as much as I make at the restaurant. I make right around, I'd say, in my pocket, the end of the year, between 60 and 70 grand, I'd say. After tips, the whole deal. So I was like, my goal is just to double that and just make exactly what I make on the side. Like looking at that and how we're probably going to do that in the first quarter.
You're gonna like quadruple that.
Yeah. So over the course of an entire year, how it's done, we'll be a long past that.
Yeah.
But I like to set some realistic goals too. I don't want to waltz in here thinking I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow. Like, not my MO. And set unrealistic expectations. Set yourself up for disappointment if you fail. Like if you fail based off those expectations. And realistic, I don't need all that much more money right now. I just want to buy a house. Like that's pretty much it. And I got a good chunk. If interest rates weren't so insane right now, I could go do it right now. But it's just the cost of actually getting a mortgage is ridiculous. So I'd say step one, get enough to go buy a house, and that'd be cool if I could sidestep the brokerages completely and say no mortgage, I'm buying half it. That would be awesome. So ideally, yes, I want to go full time with this too. But in the case, my hesitation is in the case that I do need to get a mortgage, I have to hold my W-2 for a while longer and segue out of this. And because even if I were to stop today, do this, it might be 2 to 3 years before someone can qualify me on a mortgage based off the income I'm making from this.
Yeah.
So the goal is to maintain I do a little bit both. Maybe I'm thinking as it ramps up, I wanted to say, I'm not looking to go skyrocket right to no W-2 and right into this. Like I would like to slowly segue it in, like where I drop a day at work per week. And then once it ramps up even more, drop another day at work to the point where I'm only doing 3 days, maybe 2 days at work per week. And especially because I mostly would work like weekends. I could probably just do this during the weekdays on like 4 or 5 days and then just might as well go. And it's also, I've worked alone before. I have had entrepreneurial things before, and some worked out. Like I said, some same situation as you did. Some work out, some don't. Some worked great, some terrible failures. And but one thing I've realized is working alone for me is not my thing, which is nice because we have the big group of people. We got the group calls that we do, like that having this community you're involved with, where you're not just alone staring at a screen talking to sellers. Like that sounds brutal eventually. So I would like to segue out and also maintain some sort of like a social job that I kind of already have and have that. So I don't see myself dropping off and going full-time completely. Even if I am quote unquote full-time 5 days a week, only working on this, I'd still probably pick up a shift here and there at my other job just to maintain that. So, but mostly looking for a smooth transition, not just a hard stop and move on.
You know, you came in here, obviously you've been curious about real estate, but no real estate background. You've ran other businesses, but I wouldn't say there was any carryover to this kind of business. Like this is kind of a once upon a nuance. So coming in like as a total newbie, what was that like? Like, what would you say is words of recommendation to someone that's kind of in the similar shoes right now?
First of all, it's real. It's real. That was the biggest hurdle for me to get over. Is actually realizing that this is possible. Obviously, you're sending out 1,000 or 2,000 mailers just to even get some people to call you back, but the math makes sense on doing that. Yeah. So that's the big part of it. And also, it's gonna take quite, like I will say, like I just kind of just started feeling better today. I was sick the last couple of days. I realized I've had, ever since I started this, specifically once mail actually started hitting mailboxes, for me to maintain mailing, like putting out new mail, deal with all these calls, deal with organizing, getting this property that we're closing on right now on the market. I work 4 to 5 hours a day before I go work another 7 hours. So like it's definitely, it's not, again, this work I would say is far less stressful and not physically taxing as my other job can be, but it is a lot of work, but it's not like, I don't know, I'm a workaholic, so that's not, it doesn't bother me that it is a lot of work, but it's well worth it. Like when you look back at it, you're like, really, I just did a bunch of emails and calls, and I got like 50 grand in pipeline probably possibly coming from this. Like, it was like, I was like, that, it doesn't seem to make, like, the math just does not make sense on the hours that I work doing other stuff and what I've had to do, 50 grand in the past. Like, I was like, I just fielded some calls and took some emails and just coordinated everything, and then here we go.
For people that are sitting on the sidelines that are thinking about joining us, whether it's another group coaching program or course, what would you say to them?
Definitely. I mean, obviously do this on your own accord. And like I said, I was so skeptical. It took me, this is not an exaggeration. It took me 6 or 7 months to wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
That is not, well, I wish I started 6 or 7 months ago. The market was even hotter when I was like thinking all that.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of come out, but like you said, when I first started too, like now, if the market gets hot again, like we saw in 2020 and 2020, it's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I much rather learn what I'm learning right now in a tough market. So if it ever gets easy on me, I crush it.
Yeah.
So that's why it's far more concerning. So if you're sitting on the sidelines thinking about doing this, obviously do that on your own accord. Look into it, feel comfortable with it. But at some point, you're going to have to take the leap of faith too. It's because, like, I remember too, like when I was sitting there thinking on the sidelines, like eventually it just came to me, I was like, all right, here's what I'm willing to lose.
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable with this necessarily because I'm still skeptical. I just got to throw myself into the fire and just do this, test it, man. Or I'll just never know. Yeah. It could have been a opportunity that came and went. I will have never known. So I'm willing to, especially as I'm getting older, I feel like I'm not willing to take as much risk as I was. I used to be crazy, stupid, and just like, wow, I throw myself in the fire happily as when I was younger. So I guess I'm a little bit more analytical and cautious, for better or worse, because sometimes I will overthink something and overthink myself out of something. And I saw myself possibly kind of starting to do that. I was like, nope, just throw myself in there. It's not going to feel comfortable right away. And just get the ball rolling too. And obviously, like any other skill, enough time, you'll start figuring it out. It's just how much time do you want to allocate to it? And make sure, obviously, you're comfortable to take that first step. But I will say it's not going to feel comfortable right away, especially walking into a group of people that we're with who are, some of them have been doing this for a while now. It's a whole new lingo. It's a whole new world you're stepping into. It's different. It's different. But what I see just from me being in it right now is, this is one thing I think I just said it in the group chat the other day, that you just never know who that little letter is going to. You just never know. Because I think it was like Mike P just got that person. He has an entire portfolio of hundreds and hundreds of acres. You don't know if you're going to hit one of those people and they're going to like you all of a sudden. Yeah. You just don't know. You're literally casting such a wide net that some crazy stuff can happen. Like it is really wild. So, and without getting involved with it, without doing it, it might take a year before one of those things come across your desk, but it's good to be ready when they do and know this stuff when they do. So, but to put yourself out there in the first place, and do all this, it's definitely, it's worth it. It's worth it. And this skill, real estate is extremely important no matter where you go. Yep. So the skill, it stretches past just what we're doing and understanding how to price and look into real estate, do due diligence, whether it comes to even you go buying your own home. Like, realtors just want to make a sale. The seller just wants to make a sale. It's on you to make sure you're making yourself like a good purchase. So it's definitely, this is just important stuff to understand about real estate, and it just stretches so much further past what we're doing alone. And I think it couldn't be a negative thing to get involved with this. Yeah. If you just even just take it on face value for what you're learning, right? Just that. So definitely take your time to think about it, because it took me a long time, but don't take too long too. So don't take yourself out of it like I would. This is such a good point, because you just try to jump into this, like you guys in this group alone and just asking little questions has cut the learning curve and the failure curve so substantially that it's definitely worth the cost of getting involved with it. You might feel like a sunk cost of getting involved with a group. Then you still have all this work that you need to do just to even get the ball rolling. But that money up front and the time spent learning all this stuff in a strategic way, because like you said, we say this time and time again, what other people are doing, blasting out 50,000 range or neutral letters or something like that. There's a lot of people doing that, and they're not really good at fielding the phone calls. They're not good at, it's the blind offer. The different mechanism that you guys use in this group allows to, one, cut marketing costs in half and really target properties that you can really get at a good price, at the price that will work with you, the what we're looking for. It just, the learning curve gets cut so far down that to imagine someone else, like you said, and you see it all the time too. These people who came and they took a different route to test drive it too, and they didn't have that guidance in the beginning, and watching the hole that they dug themselves into. We still dug them out though, like
which is crazy. We dug them, and we went about an hour a month. Insane.
Yeah, that's insane when you think about it too. Now that is just awesome to see that can happen still, and just that's how much what's opportunity is still in this market, especially done correctly too. So that's what gives, literally what you teach in this program gives you an edge that fractions of people have that are actually playing in this game. So it's you can join the swaths of people that are just sending out all these neutral letters and without really any context to the property itself, or you can again get very targeted with what you're looking for, cut the cost of marketing in more than half, and also get good properties too in the process too. And it just cuts the entire process too. I walked into it without a damn clue what I'm doing. I know I'm confident in my ability to go learn whatever it is too, so it doesn't bother me necessarily too. But in a matter of a couple of months, it starts to feel pretty comfortable too. So definitely worth hopping into. Again, make this decision on your own. You need to be comfortable with it, and you do not want to be throwing yourself in this. Like, definitely make that decision on your own, and also just be prepared for, like you said, bare minimum before anything cool actually happens. At least 3 to 4 months of work. I would say mentally prepare for 6 months of work.
Yeah.
Just before like you actually see a dollar enter your pocket in profit.
All right, man. Jesse, what's up, bro? Who are you? Where are you calling in from? Give them the background.
Yeah. I'll happy to answer anything. I'm Jesse Evans. I'm calling in from Denver, Colorado. Been out here for a year or two from California. Grew up right next to Sumner. Went to high school and joined about 8 months ago. Started like really getting into it probably 6 months ago, towards like the end of last year, beginning of this year. And just been running with it ever since.
You joined in August, started in like December, January. I think you said you built a pipeline that's worth like anywhere between 600 to 800K, that's bananas. And you've realized a good chunk of that revenue now. So just to go back on the door knocking, what's the secret to your success? Is it the sales ability, or is it just the sheer grit that you develop from knocking hundreds of doors a day?
Sales ability. To be honest, I actually I consider myself somewhat lazy, but I think most high performers probably think of themselves sometimes as lazy because they know what they can do, right? It's less about like how much work am I doing relative to a normal person, because it's like I don't care what a normal person does. I care what I know I have the potential to do, and I know that I'm not doing that, but I know that in my opinion, I work smarter than most people. And I have an inherent ability that probably most people don't, or, it's untapped, I guess, in them. So yeah, that's probably the thing that I think helped me. Less the grit, more the knowledge and the skill set, and the ability to train and develop people. That's been a big thing. Because I trained and developed hundreds of people over the years, right? So that's helped a lot in my business.
Give me like the bird's eye view of just kind of KPIs in the business, how much marketing you guys are doing, roughly how many deals a month, what kind of deals are you guys doing?
Yeah, cool. So another thing, I'm really bad at tracking stuff, and I kind of have unique viewpoints on. Yeah, I am actually. I just had her start tracking things. In general, I think we're probably at about 10 to 15,000 mailers a month now.
Okay.
Anywhere between 10 and 20. I would just say 10 to 15 on the normal range. And then texting, I think we're probably doing about 20,000 a month as well. Somewhere around that range. KPIs are obviously in deals being brought in. I would say we're probably, like, moving forward, we'll probably be doing 4 to 6 deals a month.
Dude, going back to the actual business, the deals that you're doing, 6 deals a month, sounds like some double close, some flips, and then some value add as well. You're doing some subdivides, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, talk to me about the typical deal. What do those deals look like?
So my typical deal is a DC. I double close basically everything. The only reason I do cash is if I need to do cash, which is like, so I would say, 95% are double closes if I can double close them. If they're subdivide, then I've actually been working on some like double close subdivide stuff, which is like more of a complex thing, which I don't know if we want to get into.
Sure.
But most everything that I do, I just present it as like, hey guys, this is how long it's going to take. This is what you can expect. And yeah, moving forward, this is how it's going to go. No one ever bats an eye. It's always really easy. I don't like doing cash because it's just kind of like, I don't see any reason to, because at the end of the day, if you're in a right market, title work's going to take a month usually anyway. Sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes a month and a half. But I just tell them, hey guys, it's probably going to take 2 months. If it takes less, great. And then I just double close it, and then we sell it in a week or something, and it's easy. So there's usually no change to the seller. And for me, it's just way easier. So I don't see any reason not to do it. I think if I could go and give people like the number one biggest tip in this business is like, stop making it complicated. Like everyone makes everything so complicated. Like I see it in the Discord all the time where someone's asking this question. I'm like, why is that even on your mind? Like that thought has never even crossed my mind. And you're asking it like it's like you're going to die if it doesn't get answered. And I think like 90% of people think like that. And it's kind of like, dude, the job's so simple. It's such a simple task to talk to these people and present it. And it's like my saying, one of my favorite sayings, door knocking and everything, it's no big deal, right? Like when I'd be in someone's home, I'd be closing a deal and they'd say something and I could see it in their face. They're saying it like, this is the objection that is going to stump Jesse. And so I'm not going to buy it for this or whatever, right? And I just respond, oh yeah, that's no big deal. We'll handle that. And like you keep going. And then you see like them be like, wow, if Jesse thinks it's no big deal, he's done this a million times, it probably isn't a big deal. And then their worry just like goes out of their head and they never think about it again because you just present it as like, it's no big deal. So with double close is the same thing. It's not a big deal. It's so easy. Just make it simple.
You joined Leah back in May of 2023. So you're coming up almost on 2 years.
Yeah.
He shared that they're on track for $6 million of top line revenue this year. All things go according to plan. Might be a little under, might even be better. Who knows? And just in Q1 of this year, 2025, you guys did more than you did all of 2024.
Yeah.
And the numbers are insane. I know January was multiple six figures. So you guys are cranking. And what's crazy, dude, is you do this with a part-time job, or you do this part-time with a full-time job rather, and you've got a family. And you're 2 years in. So pretty insane.
The very first time I heard about land investing was on a Twitter thread randomly on like January 23. And I was like, oh, that like, and at the time I was looking for like a business that could generate a lot of cash and something I could do on the side of my W-2. I really wanted to try and get into real estate investing. My background's in commercial real estate. I work for an industrial developer right now. I've worked in commercial real estate finance for most of my career. And during COVID, I saw a lot of people starting to buy a lot of assets when interest rates were like at zero. I was like, dang, like I really want to do that. But I quickly realized you need cash to be able to invest it. Even if you're trying to syndicate, it wouldn't feel right not to have my own cash to invest into it. I know a lot of people who do it without it, but I was looking for that business. So boom, Twitter thread, turn me on to land investing. He mentioned that he learned his stuff from Seth Williams' Ari Tipster online educational stuff. So I was like, okay, I can do this on my own, thinking, I'm smarter than everybody else, and quickly realized that like I was not smarter than everybody else, and that and then the algorithm gods turned me on to Sumner's YouTube videos at some point, and I was like, okay, this seemed like I think it was because honestly the thing that tipped me over was because you were and that's why, and you continue to do this, is you post all the wins of all of your students on Instagram. And I was like, okay, these are just random people that are like posting their wins and these deals. And it's like, I think I might have messaged one or two of them like, yeah, it's legit, it's a real deal. So I joined the group coaching program like 2 months after I started. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, let's do this right. And I just followed the Leah program to a T, and here we are.
And then the other thing I'll share with that too is, when I got into this in November, I was the guy that was asking everybody questions, and I felt like I was so annoying. And there are a few folks in the Leah group who I was pestering all the time, like, hey man, can I ask you another question? And looking back, I don't know that I was a burden or not. Probably not. I think it was just a story I created in my head. But I made a vow at that time, as I was actually chatting with Ari Owens. Shout out Ari, very helpful early on in my journey. I was actually chatting with him, and I made a vow internally. I was like, when I get to a place where I can be a resource for newer people, I cannot wait to just give to help in any way I So for anybody that's newer or has questions or was inspired with anything that I've shared, I just love to connect and hop on a call and jam and talk about our processes and our systems and share what's working. And, like I said, I want my time to be reserved for building relationships and making deals. So we can look at deals together. I'm happy to look at any of your deals, see if we can do anything together. We can talk processes and systems. We can connect, whatever it is. I enjoy that stuff. And if there's ever anything I can do to help, I'm more than happy to.
Rewind the clock real quick. I just want to know, you were fitness coaching. It was working, but what was what were you yearning for? Was it just more money or more impact, or what was it?
I don't know why my camera's all blurry right now. What the heck? Anyways, so for me, it was more money. Well, I was doing that for about 5 years, and I just kind of got burnt out doing that work. But ultimately, I got really good at sales and really good at operations and building a business, to where I wasn't doing the coaching anymore. I had assistants doing that, and I was playing the business game. I was an operator and tinkering like that. And I had this realization of oh man, this whole business thing is a lot of fun, but if I knew I was going to play this game 5 years ago when I started, this wouldn't have been the widget that I build. I would build a different widget, sell something different. So I wanted something where the juice was more worth the squeeze. I was pulling teeth on hour-long sales calls to get a $2,000 paid in full, where I could maybe take 30% of that. And, my first land deal was a $31,000 rip with no money out of pocket, so it was I knew there was something more out there, and I had to let go of that so that I could make space for what ultimately became this.
When you started in 2023 at the end of the year, what was the goal? I know you had goals, but can you remind me what those goals were?
When I started, I wanted to do 500K my first year.
Okay.
And I fell short of that. I was right around 400K. But I'm of this belief of set this ridiculously high goal and then just give it your freaking all. And what do they say? Shoot for the moon. And if you fall short, you land among the stars kind of thing. So it's that. So that's what I did there.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. So, I mean, in any business, make 400K your first year is bonkers. So let's dissect that. 400K your first 12 months. What were you doing? Just mail, right? Following the Leah model. But what were you working on? Anything outside the norm, or was it I just kind of followed the process, cookie cutter style?
So I followed the Leah model to a T. I came in, I started sending out blind offers, and I scaled that. I scaled the volume there probably faster than what was recommended, just because I knew I wanted to shortcut the learning curve. I wanted to get past that the first few months of we're waiting for the first call, the second call. So I scaled that pretty quick. I think I did 4,000, 5,000 my first 3 months. I did jump to 11,000 my next 3 months, jumped to, probably 15 to 20,000, and rid the rest of the year out at around 20,000 until about Thanksgiving.
Okay. Wow.
So my goal was to get to 20,000 as quickly as practical.
All the rage right now is obviously messy deals, messy this, messy that. Are you playing around with any of that, or are you just keeping it bread and butter?
I think at the volume that we get into, here's the thing: we find a way into messy deals. We're not going after them specifically. Okay. I've got a good friend who's basically shut his land business down, for lack of a better word, so he can go into just messy deals, and he's crushing it. And I don't know. I got the curiosity, but I don't see that being the business model anytime soon. What we're doing is working well, and I want to own this. But we've got our share of them. What's cool is to have the wherewithal that when we come across them, we don't have to just pass them up now. Before, I was oh, probate, we'll toss that lead. Now one of my favorite deals was a probate deal. The property's worth probably 80 grand. And, I told my closer, we just lock it up and we figure it out later kind of thing. And we ended up locking it up for 8K, and we just accepted an offer for 65K on this thing. We bought it. We actually were able to get through it with an attorney. In fact, we bought the property for 8K, and after a month on the market, we're selling it for 65K. So that's a fun one.
I'm Brian. I'm from Ohio, small town Millersburg, Ohio, and been doing land for about a year. I had some real estate experience. I was buying some rentals the last 10 years or so. Started in January of 2023, and did cold calling at first, the first couple months, and that's very hard and not really fun experience. But I got a couple deals out of that. Started doing more of the mailers, the blind offers, and that worked as well. Got a couple deals out of that. Joined Leah in June of 2023, and got a couple more deals. Wasn't just crazy at first, but then and where it all started to work or to come together was when I was in the mastermind last year in Vegas. Michael Bowles, one of the coaches in Leah, had a presentation about how he runs his land business. He keeps it very simple, and that's really what I was looking for. So I went home from there, bought Land Insight, followed his method, how he does it, just kept it simple. And since January, my business has blown up. I've done 200,000 in profit already, got another 250 conservative in pipeline profit. My goal for the year was 500K, so I kind of think I got to put up that number a little bit. So I'm very excited, and the land business is fun.
Let's say someone's brand spanking new to land, they're watching this now. What's Brian's kind of 3-piece playbook? What are the 3 things a new person should focus on? What should they do next?
I'd say like the 3 things you should focus on would be picking a market and pricing your mail. That would be 1, and then consistently getting your mail out, no matter what happens, no matter if the land business is doing good or bad. You send your mail like clockwork monthly, because that is the lifeblood of your business. That is what you can control. And then the third thing is talk to people. Like, talk to them like you're talking to your neighbor. Like, be their friend, or like build a relationship. Don't be just like talking about their land, or like, you remember there's a human element, because there's a lot of land buyer or people that I'm buying from are older people. And they're like, one of the first questions I get a lot are, you scam? I'm like, no, I'm just a kid trying to buy land. Like my grandpa always said, buy land or they don't make more.
Yeah.
And you bring that to a person, like, you're not a big company just out here trying to buy land. And the more you build up that relationship, the easier like it's never a hard sell. Like, I'm not there like trying to close them. Like, if they want to sell me their land, cool. We can agree on a price, cool. Not, hey, I totally understand. Like, I give them my realtor's number if they don't want to sell it to me at my price.
Bevvy's a rock star in the land industry. He's been crushing it for what, how many years now?
Since 2021.
2021.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And you even did like a whole 3-month trip?
Yeah, 3-month trip 2 months ago. 2 years ago. Been traveling with my wife ever since. We were able to travel pretty consistently because of the business too, and we're starting our family and still have trips planned out for the rest of the year, and it's really cool. It's all thanks to land flipping.
It's crazy. It's crazy you were able to travel that long and still grow your business, right?
Yeah. I say all the time that was a very life-changing trip. Right before it, I think I watched one of Sumner's videos the other day, and he was talking about that time. And I remember going to the meetup. It's like the San Diego meetup, and my business was doing well. We were doing well, had good numbers, closing deals. But Mike was saying that he had like multiple listings selling. I'm like, how do you have like 25, 30 properties selling it? I'm like, he told me. I just couldn't open my eyes. And then I went on that trip. My business it exploded. And yeah, I've been doing deals and closing deals, scaling up, and doing that ever since.
Last year, I sent out 57,000 units of mail, and I locked up 20 deals from that. Sold 14 of them, so I only have 6 on the market right now or in title. Sold 13 of them, and so what's in my bank account right now, like what I got after everything, after mailing, after JV splits, after software stack, all that stuff, it's about $210,000 from all that. And I have about 220,000 in pipeline profit right now. Most of these, of course, are deals from last year. But it could be more. When I first got started in this business, I got my butt kicked for about 3 months, and I sent out 15,000 mailers across 3 months in this early spring, and I basically got nothing from that. Like I got like 10 leads, and just absolutely just yeah. I mean, I tried to work on, and I was inexperienced, but that was a hard time. But I sent out a 10,000 unit mailer in May, and I got a lot of leads from that. And I got quite a few deals too. I locked up 5 deals in the last month, and I'm pretty happy about them. They're not all, most of them are single hits, but it's proof of concept. If I can do this every single month, I have a really kick-ass business here. This horse can run. But the first 3 months, my teeth kicked in.
What's the buy?
It's a buy at 90, sell at 120 or 125. I got a deal in Georgia. It's a buy for 40, sell for 80. And it's an okay market, I think, but it's a nice property. And I have another deal in 2 deals in Wisconsin in the same county. And one of them I got funded, and the other one I just funded myself, but they're both buy for 20, sell for 40s. The last one I got is a deal in Michigan. It's a buy for 20, and I thought it was maybe sell for 50, but I have a feeling the realtor took a look at that property, and it's way nicer than we could have ever imagined. And we think it might go for like 69.
Nice. Yeah, that one's awesome. That's going to be a good one. It's nice when you get those where you're like, oh, this is actually better. Usually I get the opposite. Oh, this is actually trash. You know?
Yeah.
Let's just kind of run it back. You've been in lands now, see, it's the 24th of October, 2 months?
Yeah, this is the second month. This will be finishing my second month.
Okay. And so let's just kind of, for context, let's give people an understanding of what your results have been like the last 60 days.
Yeah, so actually, I would say this is probably 90 days in. The first 30 days was just kind of learning, actually purchasing the land, and then the last 60 days would be actually going through the process of selling the land, building a buyer's list, and everything like that. The first month in, we did almost just under 20,000 in cash sales, and right about 60,000 of notes receivable. So super good the first month. The second month has slowed down a little bit, but we didn't purchase many properties. But hopefully we can close out the month and do something similar to what we did the first month. So yeah, it's been really good.
What are your predictions for this month if you had to throw one out?
If we could get 10,000 in cash sales and then another maybe 20,000 in notes receivable, I'd be happy with it.
So let's kind of talk about just what got you into land investing, what you were doing prior to it, and if there was any carryover from the stuff you're doing before.
Yeah, so right now I'm 22 years old. I just graduated from Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo. So growing up, my dad and I were always involved in all these projects. We'd work on vehicles, dirt bikes, cars, and we'd flip cars and dirt bikes here and there. So just kind of going through that, I always had that idea or strategy of finding a deal and knowing the value of it and knowing what I could sell it for and knowing that I had the power to sell it at that price. So going into college, I was studying engineering, just doing internships here and there. And, I realized that there's not a lot of space to grow as an engineer. I mean, you're normally in a big business, a big corporation, and kind of have to go through the corporate structure to really go anywhere. And then I realized that you're only just increasing your income, but keeping that same 9 to 5, 40-hour week job. So in college, I was just kind of trying to make money on the side, and I started flipping surfboards out in San Luis Obispo. So I'd go out, whether it be San Luis Obispo or Monterey, where I'm from, and then go find a deal on Craigslist, clean it up a little bit, and then put it up on an Instagram page that I made in San Luis Obispo. So I just started turning those over, and one board turned into 5 boards, and then 5 boards turned into 20 boards, and it just got ridiculously
Where were you storing these boards at, by the way?
I was storing them in my living room. So at one point we had boards stacked.
Yeah.
Like a 400 square foot living room, just boards stacked to the ceiling. And I realized like you're only making 150, 200 bucks on each board. Like I need to figure something out that's different.
Yeah.
So coincidentally, Sumner was posting on his social media that he was doing all this land investing, and I thought that was just way too good to be true. That you can't invest in land in another state and not even look at it and put that amount of money in and get those returns. Like it just made everything look ridiculous that I was doing. So I thought about it for a little bit, talked to Sumner a few times, and then I eventually bought his program. And then from there, just been doing land since.
Rest is history. So what are you going to do with all that free time? What do you do with the free time that you have now? What does that look like for you?
I just take off the time when I don't feel like working. It's nice. I feel like I'm a more productive person.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes you'll get caught on that day where you don't want to work at all.
Yeah.
But it's like I'll work when I want to work, and I'll get quality work done. And then like midday, I'll go for a run, go on a bike ride or something, clear my head, and then I'll come back and I'll work till like 11 p.m. Like there's nothing holding me back from doing that. It's an online business.
Yeah.
It's great. I'm really enjoying it, even though I'm working like crazy.
My name is Victor Pazmino. I'm here in the Chicagoland area, born and raised. Getting started into like my Leah journey, how I kind of got into it was through you. A little backstory is, we've worked together in the past, and that was during the time that I moved to San Diego. I was down there for like a year, just trying to get my first big break in the digital marketing space. So that's where, we kind of worked together. You were on the sales side, I was doing the digital marketing, and then we would kind of chit chat in between, because there is, some synchronicity, just kind of like balancing the two in a business in general. So with that, I started there in digital marketing, and I just kind of like had my head down and just focused on that for like, those years leading into it, like the last 4-5+ years. And then from that, I kind of like stumbled upon your content as I was like, just getting in more in depth with like my stuff and my business. And it started taking off. Like I started with my digital marketing, I started getting like more clients, referrals, word of mouth, things of the nature. And I kind of like tiptoed my way into the land just through your content. So I was like, oh, okay. I started seeing your posts and I was like, man, that's super interesting. But I still never like dove into it. I kind of saw like the content and I was like, you know what, I need to focus on like this one thing. But really stood out to me still were like the margins that you were speaking versus like what I was doing in the digital marketing space. So I was still going about my business, working with agencies and then managing my own clients. And that's kind of been the back and forth that I've been going through even till now. So fast forward to today, I am full-time with my digital marketing business. So I do have about 7 clients now. So I'm running that full-time and then doing land as like a part-time. But leading into it, I probably have been diving into the land stuff for like the last year. I think that's how long it's been since I've been in the Leo course. So it's been a little bit of a struggle because I was in and out of like W-2s and then balancing my clients and then fitting land in between. So I've been in and out of like 2-3 jobs, I guess, if you really think about it, so like my time has been like so finite, like and managing my time has been a little bit of a struggle, just trying to work things in between. And then also with like, the Leah and the land insights updates, like getting more involved with that. But long story short is right now, currently I'm full-time doing digital marketing and then I'm doing, land on the side. But I do have one deal that I've done already, and that was brewing since like November. I mailed a batch of about 7,000, it was about 45,000. I ended up locking up that deal end of December, ended up going live in January, and now we're about to cash out this month. So from the time of listed, it listed about the end of January, and now it's about to sell this month, or I would say within the next week and a half. We're just wrapping up like the perk test, and that was a buy for 40, sell for 95. So I actually listed that on my YouTube channel, that call of me just working on the negotiation process with that seller. So if you guys want to check it out, I don't know if you linked it already, Sumner, but Super interesting experience going through the process. And now that I have it kind of dialed in, it's just working through it and getting more volume with my mailers, on that. So yeah, that's just a rundown of what's been going on, the past few months.
Yeah, a lot to unpack there. I'm joined today by Vern. Vern, give them a quick elevator pitch. Where are you located? How long you been in lands? And when did you join Leah? I think it's probably a little under a year ago, right?
Yeah. So I'm in Houston, Texas. Been in land for about 2.5 years. Came from oil and gas, still doing some oil and gas work. Mineral business, still run a mineral business. And then, that tied in really well with buying surface. So process is basically the same. So that was a pretty easy transition from that perspective, and joined Leah, I think it was March or April of 23.
So maybe it has been exactly a year. Yeah. Shared a little teaser inside of the Recent Wins channel a few months ago. Pretty crazy deal. What was that? So it's a smaller acreage property. You knew the exemptions, or you knew what was going on. I think it was in Texas. So kind of walk us through what you saw, what happened there. Did you know right off the bat it was a good subdivide opportunity? Did you have to do some more due diligence?
Yeah, so the two big subdivides that we did like last year, kind of bleeding into this year. What I got to say, so I have another business with a partner, and basically what we do is tax foreclosures. So we hunt down tax foreclosures that are about to go to a sale, and that's a sniper business where we basically pull that list, 2 weeks before the foreclosure, and we identify the very best ones. And then we're on the phone calling directly to that seller. And a lot of times they're really hard to find. So I've got a partner, we work together on finding those deals, try to do 2 to 3 bigger deals a year. And that was one of those deals where it was about to go to foreclosure. Like we had 2 weeks basically to do the deal. Called the guy. He had lived out there, got a divorce, and then like literally packed up his truck with his like clothes and left. And he left his house. He left like tractors. There were like tractors with trees growing through them, and like you wouldn't believe the amount of stuff. He was raising emus, and all the emu pens were still out there. All the trees growing through them. So we bought that one. We were able to close, through title. That was, we got that one for about $150,000. That was about $15,000 an acre, 10-acre deal. But I mean, immediately, because my partner called me, and said, "Hey, I think I got a deal." And I looked at the county, kind of in that range, and things were trading 65 to 70K an acre, and so we were able to get that one. We paid off the taxes for him, put a little money in his pocket, and then we spent about 30 grand cleaning that one up. It was already kind of cut into pieces. And so there was a 5-acre parcel, and then 2.5 acre parcels, 2 road frontages. So it was like really, really well situated. And so we basically took the 5 acres and cut it in half to make, 4 2.5 acre parcels. What ended up happening was a builder came along and they wanted the back 5 acres. So we sold 2 of those parcels to one buyer. And then we we subdivided the front 5 acres into 2.5 acres and listed both of them, had one buyer take both of those parcels. So we ended up doing 2 transactions on that. So that was a buy for $150, and then we sold for $315 and $360 between those 2.
What made you get into land?
Yeah, good question, man. I've been in wholesaling, doing that since 2014. So kind of got same start as everybody else, man. Came across land in 2017. I went to a Jack Bosch event.
Okay.
In Phoenix, Arizona. So I kind of got the land bug. So they were selling the coaching, man. Didn't really have the money at the time. I was still working a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I just I kept working, man, and then eventually I came across to surplus funds. And so, while I was doing that, I was able to leave the job and come do this full time, man. And then land came back across my purview again, man, in December of last year. So I jumped in doing some infill lot stuff, and kind of I feel it was more transactional. So I was like, man, I don't know if I would really want to do this because it was just a lot of it was dictated on the market, man. So I started looking at a lot of different things, came across Sumner's information. I looked at the Apke brothers information as well. And, I kind of resonate a lot more with Sumner and the group of folks that he was associating himself with and how he actually built a business out of doing rural recreational land. So that's kind of how I, found Leah, joined the coaching program, and here we are today. So
Jason was giving me a little bit of rundown. He's in Leah. You've been in Leah since what, February?
Yeah, end of February.
End of February, and you've been trickling out mail and stuff like that. Nothing too crazy, but which is still good. I mean, at least you're getting it out there. And you got some deals that are just almost there, which is not fully over the board, right?
Correct. Yep.
All right, cool. Cool. Just want to give everybody a little bit quick insight about what you do, what you're doing here in land.
Yeah, definitely. So I have a close friend that's in Leah as well. He's been in since I think middle of last year. So pretty much a year. He was talking to me about this whole operation, just kind of the idea of it. And it kind of suited me, but then, I was hesitant just because I want to do my own due diligence, wanted to see if something that fits me. And then end of February, once the year turned around, I really got to dive deeper. And then I met with some of the people in Leah, and it was a really good group. So that's what really propelled me to start. From there, I did the training, the 0 to Hero 90 day. That was probably the most influential to me with you and Sumner. I learned a lot there, started to get dialed in on my whole process.
What are your KPIs right now to a deal?
So my average price per deal is a little over 12,000. And and things are picking up, but it's been slow to start. So I sold 2 the year before, sold 4 last year. And they're getting closer to the end of the year too. So it's like the momentum is there. One of the big takeaways I had from your presentation at the beginning of the year was that whole concept of return on effort.
Yeah.
So I've heard it kind of before of like return on time invested, but really kind of like the mental effort and the, different things have different, like, are they really in your hedgehog or not? Is it really the thing you enjoy doing?
Yeah.
So that return on effort, I really, that's another thing I'm like trying to figure out. How do I, kind of incorporate that into things?
That's one of my biggest factors when I'm looking at anything. Like if I don't like something and it's heavy to me, I don't want to do it. I want stuff that's light. Like don't do the heavy work.
Yeah.
Right. People talk shit about getting your hands dirty and doing work yourself. But if you love doing it, do it.
Yeah.
Like you love working on your car, go work on your car. Yeah, you could save money bringing it to the mechanic. But if you love it, do it. Like I mow my lawn. I love mowing my lawn. Right. It's great. Can I just hire a guy to come do it? Absolutely. But I love it. So like my ROE on that, is super low, but my enjoyment's super high. So it's like, okay, I'll keep that. Scott is newer to Leah, right? Kind of just getting started.
I've been in since the middle of February, so I'm about a month in.
Nice. Month in, and you already got some action happening. So we were just talking a little bit. So you started out kind of just got in and started just doing your thing, right? You're doing what? Cold calling right now? Texting?
Yeah. So I basically started before I joined Leah. And like a year ago, I should have joined Leah a year ago. And then I decided I would do a bunch of stuff on my own. I'd managed to make one transaction happen in July of 2024. And I made about 25 grand. But I took too big of a risk. And I could have lost $5,000 earnest money. I just didn't have a good enough exit strategy, and I lucked out and found a buyer at the last minute. So I literally decided that I needed a coach, and I needed some help, and a team, and a group, and a community. And so I knew it was Leah. And so anyway, I just my W-2 deal is in a free fall. It's terrible. And so I'm like, you know what? I got to go all in here. I don't care if it's burning the ships or what. It's like I'm like in a situation I got to get out of.
Cool. So the one you just sent me now, this is one that you got that you're just still underwriting, right?
Yeah, I'm still trying to make an offer and get a deal made with the lady.
Okay.
This is she owns 2 side-by-side 20-acre parcels.
Okay. I'm not going to share the actual parcel number and stuff like that, just because I don't want to,
Thank you.
do all that here.
Put it out there.
Yeah, but I am in the general location, so I'll share that screen, and we'll just look at on Land Insights. I'm just looking at everything. I want to make sure there's nothing.
Yeah, I appreciate that.